The thing is that you might feel it's a complex situation, or you might feel you need to do a lot to be liable for these privacy laws. But the truth is, something as simple as writing a customer name and email down on paper can expose your business to these privacy laws. Something as simple as having a contact form on your website can set a trap for your business. Hello, listeners, and welcome back to another episode of your favorite podcast, the Tech Your Business podcast. I hope you enjoyed the interview we had last week, and I hope you learned a lot, because as I promised in the first episode, we're going to get guests. And funny enough, for the past months, I've been interviewing new guests almost every day, so there is actually a whole lot of content coming up. Today, we'll talk about something that's not directly tech, that affects almost every business that has implemented tech, and this is privacy regulations. Target ICT was incorporated in 2018, and from around then till date, we've been paying about £35 every year to the Information Commissioner's Office, that's the ICO. And that's as a result of the General Data Protection Regulations, GDPR, that was introduced in 2018 when we were incorporated. So as a result of this, I understand the essence of these privacy regulations. But what made me do this topic was an interview. A few days ago, I talked to a privacy lawyer turned tech CEO. We're going to publish that episode shortly. And while we are speaking, she mentioned the fact that 6 new privacy laws are coming up in the US and Canada this year, 2023. Those laws are the California Privacy Rights Act, the Virginia Consumer Data Protection Act, the Colorado Privacy Act, the Utah Consumer Privacy Act, the Connecticut SB6, and the Quebec Bill 64 for Canada. How does that affect any business? Before I go into that, let me just clear the air that none of what I'm about to say in this episode, or none of what I have already said in this episode, is legal advice. I'm not a lawyer, and I don't intend to be one. I'm an ICT consultant. So if you have any legal issues or legal questions, you can speak to a qualified lawyer. Now back to the topic. If you've been in business long enough, then you have received spam in your email or even your SMS. Get messages all the time from people you don't know, offering you different products, different services, or even pharmaceutical products. You know, when you look at spam, you look at the misspelled emails, you look at everything, and you feel it's just people playing around. But the funny thing is that spam is $1 million business. There are companies who sell customer data to those people. There are companies who provide platforms for them to send out these messages. And there are companies who pay these spammers to get their adverts and their messages out. Issues like this are the reason why we have all these privacy regulations coming up all over the world. Even if, honestly, for a business, they are a real pain to keep up with. Privacy laws are made to ensure that we, the consumers, have control over our data. So we should be the ones to determine who has our data, what can be done with our data, and also we should have the right to request that our data be deleted if we no longer want who has that data to retain it. Some examples of this data I'm talking about are your name, your address, your email address, your phone number, browsing history, and even your medical info. All these are data points that are covered by these privacy laws. So talking about these privacy laws, They started becoming popular around 2018, like I said, when we were incorporated. Target ICT was incorporated in the UK, so it is covered by the GDPR, which is the General Data Protection Regulation. The GDPR is an EU law which the UK retained after Brexit. I'm sure you heard about Brexit, where the UK pulled out of the European Union. The GDPR covers businesses offering goods and services to and in the European Union. Another popular privacy law is that of California. I know it's weird mentioning one law covering the EU and then one law covering just the states in the US, but that's because the United States has no federal law governing privacy, and as a result of that, each state resorts to creating their own laws. So the CCPA, the California Consumer Privacy Act, applies to businesses that collect data from California residents. This law started being effective in 2020. Apart from this, there is the one for Brazil, which is the LGBT for businesses operating in Brazil, which also started in 2020. And apart from those ones, there are loads of others coming up everywhere, such as the three mentioned at the start of the show, which are starting out this year in 2023. So honestly, it's important for your business to be on top of these laws. So generally, these laws are basically, when you look at them, they're basically the same. And the requirements for these laws are generally that you have a limit to the data you can collect. Consumers who you collect this data from should have rights to opt out from your lists. Consumers should consent before you collect your data and process their data. And finally, you should also, when you collect data, you should also have security safeguards to prevent this data you are in custody of from getting into the wrong hands. So the next thing we'll talk about is how your business can fall into a privacy trap as a result of all these laws. Why I'm mentioning that is because I'm sure a lot of you are wondering, oh, this is tech your business. Why are you going on and on and on about privacy laws? Is this not a legal show? But at the end of the day, you become liable or you become covered by these laws when you apply tech to your business. So the truth is that almost every business, big and small, is impacted by these privacy laws, especially with the GDPR. I know some countries have business size limits for their laws, but a lot of them cover every business. And the fines and the penalties for non-compliance with these laws can be really significant. In complying with these laws, you might have a privacy policy on your website or not, but I discovered that most businesses who have privacy policies on their websites just copy and paste these privacy policies, or their web developers just copy and paste these privacy policies on the website. So this means that a lot of the privacy policies on most websites, number one, are not up to date. Number two, do not serve the unique purpose of that business. And number three, they don't cover the new laws in markets the business serves. So talking about fines and penalties, let's go back to the GDPR, which I've been talking about. I've been paying, so I have to talk a lot about that. If you go on the website enforcementtracker.com, you'll see fines paid by little businesses and big businesses. If you sort the fines there, you'll see fines from as little as 300 euros to as much as 1.2 billion euros, which was paid by, or which was fined to Meta Platforms, the owner of Facebook, Instagram, and Threads, and WhatsApp also. The thing is that you might feel it's a complex situation, or you might feel you need to do a lot to be liable for these privacy laws, but the truth is, something as simple as writing a customer name and email down on paper can expose your business to these privacy laws. Something as simple as having a contact form on your website can set a trap for your business. And even using something as simple as tracking software, which I always recommend on your website can be an issue. So let's talk about some ways you or your business can get in trouble with these privacy laws. If you collect unnecessary data from your customers or clients and you do not delete that data when it is no longer needed, it's a problem. If you collect data without getting prior consent of the owners of that data, so for instance, you collect emails, names, and addresses of people, and you don't get their consent for first collecting that data and secondly processing, which is sending emails or sending SMS to those people, you are liable. If you fail to disclose the data practices of your company, you might be in trouble. If you collect your data, the consumers consent to your collection and processing of that data, but you do not protect the data. You do not encrypt it. You do not protect it with proper access controls and the like. You are liable because that data can get in the wrong hands. If you lack a data breach response plan for your business, you might be in trouble. Another thing, if you assume that the existing practices in your company comply with those data privacy laws without first doing a privacy review, I think you need to double check. But at the end of the day, everything I've mentioned seems to be leading to a conclusion that you shouldn't collect data. But if you look at past episodes, I always advise that you should have data because data is good for making business decisions. Making decisions without information of what customers have done or are likely to do is like leading your business in the dark. So I've talked about all this, and I'm not just saying it to scare you, I'm just saying it to let you know what you're up against. So the next thing I'll talk about is how your business can avoid these privacy traps. There are different ways you can avoid these privacy traps. First of all, when you have to install new scripts, new software, or onboard new software in your company, when you have to implement new tools in your company, it is important that you conduct privacy impact assessments. I promise there will be no jargon on this show. So what is a privacy impact assessment? It simply is checking the steps of this process, checking how this software works, checking that, comparing with the privacy laws, and making sure nothing introduced by this new tool, software, or process makes you run foul of these data privacy laws. So that's a privacy impact assessment. Another thing you can do, especially with the GDPR rule, the GDPR rule mandates you, when you sign up with the ICO, you need to name the data protection officer in your business. So that means you have to appoint a data protection officer. So that it can be an existing member of staff, but that person is responsible, number one, for correspondence with the regulatory bodies, and number two, for protecting and ensuring that data held by the company is treated right. Another thing you can do to avoid being trapped is creating and rolling out data protection policies. So you should have this, so it's not just rolling out the policies, you roll them out, and you also train yourself and your employees extensively on privacy practices, on how to properly collect data, how to properly handle data, and everything else. So I hope you're writing, because these things I'm mentioning are things you should look at in your business. If they are not being practiced or they have not been incorporated in your business, then you should look at incorporating them. When collecting data, you should only collect the data you absolutely need. So if you have a contact form collecting data, and they've collected the name and the email, and it has a field for birthdays, and you don't need your customers' birthdays, please take it out. Take whatever you don't need out of your contact forms. You should also be transparent at all times and make privacy a priority from the start whenever you're building your company or building out your processes and SOPs. SOPs are standard operating procedures. So standard operating procedures, I know a lot of you know that running companies, but for the rest, standard operating procedures are just basically, for instance, in producing this podcast, I break it down into component parts, choosing the topic, finding out what the business owner would want to learn most from the topic, getting an outline for the topic, and recording, editing, publishing, promoting. So that's an SOP for podcasts. For your business, the different processes in your business should also have SOPs. Then, most importantly, apart from everything I've mentioned, you should talk to a privacy lawyer. There are privacy lawyers who can create and update policies that are unique to your business. So in this case, with privacy laws popping up every now and then, and especially if your business operates internationally, you deal with different countries, then you should have that privacy lawyer on a retainer. So that would make sure that every privacy policy on your website, all your terms and conditions, and everything else are always up to date for every market your business deals with. Having a privacy lawyer can cost thousands of dollars or pounds. While a lot of businesses can afford that, I know the aim of a lot of business owners is saving money and reducing costs as much as possible. So if you've listened to this show long enough, you know that I never mention problems without a solution. The lawyer I spoke to earlier is the president of Temagedon. So Temagedon is a company that creates auto-updating privacy policies and cookie consent banners and terms of use. So how Temagedon works is you get an initial questionnaire. That questionnaire asks of all the markets that your business serves. So if you serve Australia, you serve whatever state in the US, you serve whatever province in Canada, you serve whatever country in the EU. They make sure you answer who you serve, first of all. Then you also answer what sort of information do you collect and why do you collect this information. It's a really long questionnaire. I think I took about 30 minutes or thereabout to fill out the questionnaire for Target ICT. But once you're done with the questionnaire, Temagedon automatically generates a customized privacy policy, terms of service, and it also has a cookie consent banner, unique to your website or to your business. So basically what you do is that you just install it once and you forget. And whenever any country creates a new privacy policy or updates their privacy policy, the company updates it and it auto updates on your website. So you don't really have to think that much about privacy policies. So if you're looking for that kind of solution, you can talk to us. There is a calendar link in the bio below. So you can just book just a 30-minute call, speak to us. We talk about your business as usual. That link is not a sales link, so we are not going to sell anything to you. We'll probably even just direct you to whatever solution you can implement by yourself. But the essence is that whatever bothers you concerning privacy in your business, you can discuss it with us. And if it's something that we can install Temagedon for you, we're a Temagedon partner, by the way, so you can get it installed on your website through us. Currently, we install it for every new web design client we get to. Like I said, just click on the calendar link below, book an appointment. Let's talk. 15-30 minutes. Let's talk through the issue of yours. Even though it's not privacy, can't talk about anything else. Not selling you, like I said, just talking. Moving on from that, while these privacy regulations are complex, like I said previously, the aim is to protect consumers and businesses like us. So it is important that as a business owner covered by these rules, you take your time to understand the requirements and align your business practices accordingly. It is also important to leverage available resources in your business to keep up with this rapidly evolving landscape. I know it's really crazy. When I first incorporated and I was told I have to pay for IC, I was wondering, what is this again? But reading about it, learning about it, I understood. And apart from that, you really, really, really want to avoid unnecessary lawsuits and fines. That's it about privacy laws. Same time next Thursday, it won't be a solo episode like this. It will be another interview like we had last time. I won't mention the guests to be a surprise, but what I can guarantee is that you're going to learn a lot. And I'm sure if you implement one or two things from that episode, it's going to move your business forward. So if you've learned anything from any of our episodes before now, if you got something you could implement and it made a difference in your business, don't forget to let us know. I love hearing those stories. Also, if you'd like to listen or learn more about legal issues and how they relate to your business, you can listen to episode 8 of the Tech Your Business podcast. Episode 8 covers e-signatures and digital contracts. So basically, using e-signatures rather than normal signatures to get contracts signed faster. If you've listened up to this point, thank you very much for supporting us, for being on another episode of the Tech Your Business podcast. And until next week, which will be the interview, keep taking your business. Thank you, and bye for now.